Hey guys, Fire here from InDepth Gaming, bringing you another product review. This time we're checking out the VelocityOne Flight from Turtle Beach. The VelocityOne Flight is a fully immersive flight stick array setup that gives you everything outside of pedals to be able to fly games in Microsoft Flight Simulator or other flying games. This works on Xbox Series XS and Xbox. It also works on Windows 10 computers. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of the product itself, and then we'll show a little bit of it off playing and also give kind of my opinions. Now, what do you get out of the box? Well, you get obviously the unit, but along with that in the box, you're going to be presented with this gigantic kind of quick start flight guide that's going to give you a full walkthrough of just how to do your initial setup here on this side. And then here on the other side is going to be a full breakdown of kind of how to use different controls and buttons, parking, brake, throttles, and really what everything means. Now, right off the bat, if you're thinking like, yeah, this is a big pill to swallow and can I customize it? The answer is yes. So there's a couple different things you can do. Behind the flight stick here, you actually have a magnetic instrument panel plate here that you can remove. And then you're given a blank instrument panel piece here that you can fully customize to have an instrument panel that suits your needs, and you can customize all these little indicators here, as well as your like buttons and knobs for your engine acceleration. You can actually repurpose them with interchangeable buttons that will give you a different like tactile feel, as well as change up the colors and let you customize that a little bit. Now, as far as setup, this is probably the easiest thing to set up out of a box. It's two separate pieces here that I'll show you here off of the little quick flight guide so you can see it here, because I'm not gonna disassemble the whole thing here on camera because it's a little bit of a nightmare. But if you look here, this is actually this left side here. They actually just pop in and slide apart from each other. So it can allow you to easily store the device, as well as you're going to have two sets of cables. It's kind of hard to see back here, but one cable connects the throttle module to the flight stick, and another cable will connect it to whatever your platform is that you're playing on. And that's pretty much all you really need to do setup-wise. It has integrated built-in clamps, so you have a magnetic top here, and then an Allen wrench that comes with it that maybe I can get to detach out of here, that you can actually have these two feet pads that pull out straight here from the bottom. I don't know how well you can kind of see it here, but they'll clamp under your table. They give you a pretty good amount of space for what they are, so I'd say this can stick and hook to just about any type of table. If you can see here, I've probably got a good 1.5 to 2 inch thick table, and this is still able to connect perfectly fine and function for me. As well as the feel of this. The feel of this feels great. Now, if you've used like flight sticks in the past, you're probably used to having the left and right and then pull forward and pull backward. This actually has a more realistic push in, pull back to climb and dive your plane. And that gives you a real good sense of like control and feel for the plane when you're flying it. As well as you do have a digital instrument panel here. It doesn't do a whole lot. You can get a chronometer. Here you can do some custom settings, change like your flight mode. So if you're doing like a single engine plane or a multi-engine plane, you can adjust things and settings and so forth. Now, I will say I've put about 15 to 20 hours flying in with this so far. It is a ton of fun, very immersive, but this is a big learning curve. Even with my, 15, 20 hours of playing with this so far, there's a lot that I still am like having to resort to this little flight manual here to figure out really what to do, because it is very challenging and hard to learn. This is definitely not meant for your everyday consumer. This is meant for diehard flight sim style players who really want to immerse themselves. So let's show you a little bit of how this works. So you'll have different controls here, and I'm going to be super basic here. I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to planes. You'll have your throttle controls, engine controls. It's got parking brake, and your landing gear can go up here, and then you can control left, right, pull back, forward, and then just a couple other buttons here that do some fun stuff. But let's go ahead and throttle up our plane here, and we'll start the takeoff here on screen, and you can see us taking off here. You also have the ability to do your trim. You can't really see it, but it's normally like right here on the game screen where you can control trim. So we'll pop our parking brake off here and let the plane start to go. And one thing that I have found myself when it comes to playing with this, I still like to have like my Xbox controller, and I'm assuming if you're on keyboard, players are probably still going to want to have their keyboard accessible. It's nice to move around and change a view with these kind of analog joysticks at the top. But there's still something nice about just having your controller here to just be a little more fluid with when you're playing. So it looks like we've got our plane up to speed, so let's just gently pull back here and we'll start to take off. This is extremely responsive, and you're going to notice a ton of just real feel when it comes to playing and flying. You're not going to have to really guess with what you're doing. Everything's going to feel very fluid and natural, and it's very responsive. So I'm going to do a hard right here, and you'll see just how quick the plane starts to respond. And it'll really feel like, you're struggling and having to really work your butt off to fly. You're still going to, unfortunately, like something I wish this game actually had was, I would love if this little instrument panel here would be my instrument panel when it comes to flying. But unfortunately, like, there isn't really enough customizable displays to get like this display up here to show up here, which is definitely something I wish that they could do in the game. But as far as the feel and just enjoyment of using this, it's extremely fluid and just very well built, and a really solid premium product. What I really like is this doesn't feel like I just wasted like $60 on something that is expensive and cheap, because this is not $60. This is $350. So you're gonna spend as much as you would on a console just for this controller to be able to feel really immersed and in depth into your game. So I think the marketed audience for this is going to be very limited to the amount of people who want to spend $350 to use just a controller, when you could very easily just use a normal controller and fly your plane accordingly. I definitely think when it comes to playing in the game, it's a great immersion experience, but it does take up a lot of space, so it's definitely going to be a downside and detractor for me when it comes to that. But I wish that they could have maybe cheapened a little bit of the hardware. They could have made some things plastic, probably reduced the cost a little bit, because $350 is a lot of money to spend on this. But if you are a big flying aircraft enthusiast, this is 100% the product and accessory for you, especially when we're getting into premium next gen console experiences and you're wanting the best of the best. This is going to feel like you're getting the best of the best, and even more. Like, just the amount of things and bells and whistles that this presents for you while you're playing is definitely something that you're going to really enjoy and get to experience. For some reason, I can't get my landing gear to close, so we're just going to continue flying until that kind of self-corrects. But the overwhelming amount of positive things that I can talk about this is just it's so immersive. It feels so good. It feels like you're getting your money's worth. The biggest downsides for me is when it comes to just normal controls. I often will find myself wanting to do menu navigations and like in movement with my Xbox controller, but fly the plane with the analog stick and be able to just set up and adjust things accordingly that way. So maybe in a future update they could make these be a little more responsive and a little better. I don't like that it feels kind of clunky, but this isn't really the main part of what you're flying in the planes. You're using this to fly, you're using this to throttle, control all your engines and everything. This is the meat and potatoes. This is something very minor for me. Might be very major for you, but nonetheless, I definitely don't think it's a detractor from my experience. And for me, I think it's rather enjoyable. Let's see how well we can kind of fly the plane here and while we talk about it a little more. Now, out of the box setup, it's extremely easy to set up. You're just going to end up connecting, like I said, the two pieces here and just a couple analog sticks. You're not going to really have to struggle to get things all set up and established. It's very user-friendly, to the point where I didn't even have to look in the manual when I was controlling things. I could kind of just figure it out and adjust it on my own. That being said, I definitely would recommend anybody picking this up to maybe spend some time heavily studying this manual here to really understand what all the buttons do and be able to really fly and function in your plane. Or even go online and watch some videos just helping do some explaining and how-tos with getting started with this. But nonetheless, though, I definitely think if you want a premium product and a flight experience, the VelocityOne Flight is 100% worth the money. This is crazy amazing. I definitely think, though, the average consumer, probably not the market, but I think most people who generally are going to be wanting something like this isn't going to be your average consumer. You're going to be getting targeted by, you know, people who really want that immersive experience, and this 100% hits that mark. If you want to know more about the VelocityOne flight, want to see me upload some gameplay, some more showcasing of it, please let me know down in the comments. If you have any questions or want to see any additional stuff with another video, like I said, let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button down below, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to try not to crash this plane, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video down here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and if you want to pick up the VelocityOne flight, we'll have a link down in the description. We'll catch you guys next time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Okay, this is probably just not going to go well.